Hey everyone, this is Pause or Repeat. Here we figure out whether a game is really worth your time and money. Today's game is Once Human. This game is developed and published by Starry Studio, a NetEase subsidiary. It has been compared to games like Rust due to them being in the same genre. But is it really the same? Looking to the gameplay, we will find out. The gameplay of Once Human is all centered around the survival mechanics. Like many other survival games, you have a health bar, thirst meter, and a hunger meter. You'll have to manage your character's well-being to survive, as well as build out your own territory and craft weapons, tools, and gear. When you venture out into the wilderness, you will be exploring facilities and abandoned houses, as well as fighting monsters, or, quote, deviations as the game calls them. Using resources found when exploring, you will be able to craft more things as well as unlock blueprints by leveling up. There are also some instance encounters that you'll need a group for, but fortunately you can do these with other people in your world, and the game facilitates this by means of a group finder. Be wary, however, that the game is set to wipe progress frequently in 6-week seasons. You'll keep your blueprints, but you will lose anything you gained, and your territory will be gone as well. But is there any story in this game to go along with the gameplay? The story is that well prior to the events of the game, there was an event called the Starfall, where alien pollution from an in-game material called stardust turned people and animals into the deviations you fight in the game. A company named Rosetta sets out on the crusade to create metahumans, humans that can control the stardust. They are successful, but at the beginning of the game, you wake up as a metahuman and escape after finding out that Rosetta are not the good guys either. But now the question still stands. Pause or repeat? There's been a little bit of backlash and controversy regarding this game and the rotation system of 6 weeks to wipe. Some people think it's maybe not enough time, especially when, you know, so many games demand your attention and life demands your attention as well. There's a lot to do in the game, but is 6 weeks really enough time to do everything is really the question that people have brought up. I think that there's a lot of pros to it at the same time because, you know, even if you think of it as being too short of a time period to go through everything, you're going to constantly have something new to do because you're not going to be able to build up all your base and resources and then expect it to be there forever. But what do you think about that, Chris?
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty interesting. I know that the developers are trying to fight back from a lot of those user game reviews, not the critic reviews, but the user game reviews, because that is a part of some of the mixed reviews coming into play, right? That this is season killing. And they really try to clarify with a lot of the gamers that in Once Human, scenarios and seasons are two distinct concepts. So what they're saying is a scenario represents a specific gameplay theme on the server defined by a unique blend of rules, game modes, and gaming content. Some of the things that they've been introducing at launch that you've been talking about, Henrik, is the player versus environment scenario, right? That's the mana bus. You got player versus player scenario called Evolution's Call. But, you know, you also got on the other hand, what they're calling season, which is basically what you're talking about, which is you are referring to the duration, the progression of a specific scenario. And if you don't complete the season, then you might miss out on in-game content. Isn't that what's terrifying about a live service game? I thought we don't do this anymore, Henrik.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not the first time that a game has done this. Even another game in the same genre called Rust, like they do wipe the game servers, you know, regularly. I'm not sure off the top of my head how often they do, but, you know, it's a thing that a lot of games do. Even a game like Path of Exile or Diablo has seasons in it, and you're expected that at the end of the season, in order to play on the current season stuff, you have to make a new character and start all over again.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah,
that's
at the same time, I
point.
see why people would be upset because 6 weeks might be a little too short.
But it's like, what do you expect from a live
having to work
service
9
game?
to 5, you know, 5 days a week.
But at least they're trying to like actually listen to the people that have massively built up these Discord servers to listen back to the feedback from players. I mean, they're already listening to them because I know one of the biggest critiques that I kind of had with the game is it's like, yeah, cool, we got a finally a multiplayer open world survival game set in this what they call a strange post-apocalyptic world where you got to
Mhm.
basically fight against mutated beasts. You're going to be dwindling for resources, and but the thing that what we're always combating against is this whole pay to win scenario, something that the First Descendants has been a bit accused of. And so a lot of people have been kind of praising that they don't feel this kind of energy. But the number one thing to get back to, like, I guess what you're kind of referring to is like this, it sucks that these scenarios are getting locked in place, but don't you think this is opens up an opportunity to kind of explore more environmental designs, concept artwork, art direction? Because I think it's been a bit bland, I gotta say.
You think so?
monster
I think it's kind of cool
No, like
considering.
the monster
It,
designs are cool, but I think
yeah,
they need a
yeah. I
little
was
bit
gonna
like
say,
of
yeah,
that.
they look really good. It reminds me a lot of what Control did that game.
But don't you feel like the apocalypse could feel a bit more like, let's say, a gallery-worthy exhibit? They can use a
Mm.
little bit of splash from Bob Ross, if you know what I'm saying. And I think those opportunities will come with this dynamic of the seasons being laid out. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it
yeah.
does feel terrifying. But what they've been saying is that you get to play these scenarios, and if you so choose to be like, wow, I'm getting kind of stuck doing this one scenario and I know I want to really, really complete it, you have the opportunity to keep sticking around with that scenario, or you get to go and jump onto the newest content that gets released from, the developers who are making this, I say, a pretty badass multiplayer world known as Once Human. Really, really
Right,
cool.
and I mean that also does bring up the question too, though. Does the content coming out keep people invested, or is it the gameplay loop that keeps people invested? Because yeah, you do keep your blueprints every wipe. So say
Yeah.
if you unlocked a bunch of stuff to make in your territory, next time you won't have to go around and make get to the point of unlocking them again. You just get the materials.
Yeah, that does kind of suck. It does feel like you're sneaking in snacks to a movie, right?
Right. At the same time, I get why they did that because, it can be a bit of a drag to continually have to
But
do
they did say today, ironically, to that, to what you're saying, I think they are listening to those demands because I know as of today of this live show, they
Mhm.
announced that they're cooking up unlimited player versus player scenario for those who
Mm.
feel like they need that need for speed or a whole lot of chaos. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
and
So I
in
think they're
that
listening to
case,
that.
that's where the gameplay loop of, the over the shoulder gunplay, sometimes in first person gunplay, is really what's gonna make people come back, I feel like.
Or
I mean, at
also,
least that's what it would be, what they're
or
focusing on.
I was actually about to like really be upset about this game because I'm like, man, they still don't have controller support. Well, that's coming, and it's told to
Right,
be
right.
dropping like any moment this week. So that's a major, major plus. And I know they do have patch updates. I know they're talking about a new update where that includes taming wild animals in this post-apocalyptic
Mm.
world because who needs Power World? I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm saying? They have like a new fishing system because yeah, that really does make sense. Fishing for mutant fishes. I don't know. But then again, they're trying to add new ideas, and I heard they're also making like new events for vehicle driving because they really want you to explore that open world. So I think they're kind of like it's not quite all there yet, but it's a free to play game. Like that's kind of cool. Yes, it is terrifying that it is a live service game, but then again, we have reported on this numerous times on Rage Quit. A lot of these studio companies are not stopping anytime soon from not delivering,
Yeah.
live service games. So we are kind of stuck with this kind of notion of, video games of the now. But if
But I got a question for you then, Chris.
yes,
Between the gameplay, between the survival gameplay and the gunplay and all that, the crafting, and also the aesthetic, is this a game that you'd want to say is a repeat for you, or is it a pause?
it definitely feels like it's a repeat for me. I honestly was started thinking about some of my other favorite franchise IPs. I'm thinking about like Fallout, for example. And I'm thinking, wow, a lot of these like really cool elements that are being introduced in this video game would be so freaking cool that actually got more approached when it came to Fallout 76. Not
Yeah.
necessarily everybody's favorite game, but
No.
being re-explored again. But people are kind of thriving for that. I think there's a there's a major reason why there's a big push from Disney with Epic Games to kind of explore a lot of these kind of open world environments. So I think it's very, very promising. There's a lot to do in the game. I'm gonna call it a repeat. I think people are gonna have a lot of fun.
All right, well that's totally fair, and I understand why people would
Don't
say
tell me
this
you're gonna
is
say it
a
the other way.
game. But
Don't you
yes,
do
for
it. You're
me it
throwing a
is a
nuke bomb on the
pause.
game?
Unfortunately,
It's
it
not Doomsday.
so the whole thing about this game with me is I actually did try it one time before with my friend group. We dropped out of it real quick, but I came into this a second time, giving it a second chance, to be able to do a good justice to it for this segment. And it honestly just didn't really grab me the way that I wanted it to. I do think the game's designs of the monsters are really cool, and I did like the aesthetic of the world, but just the gameplay loop, and maybe this is because I'm not playing it with people, but the gameplay loop just didn't really pull me in like maybe some other
Come
games
on,
that have
Henrik.
come
The
out
game's
this year
free to
have.
play. It's very
It is free
encouraging
to
to bring
play
your
though,
friends
so
along for the
yeah, I
ride.
didn't
Come
lose
on,
anything
Henrik.
necessarily except my time. So
Man, dude, it sounds like you didn't survive Doomsday. You know what? You were building your house in Once Human, and maybe you got ransacked, and you're still feeling salty about it. I feel like there's more to this that I don't know.